May the evening soothe and welcome you, O travelers from Upper Egypt.
You will travel no further because you are come. Here, you are at the beginning of time.
Here was conceived and lived the great week of the creation of the world and the separation of the earth from the waters. You are at the house of the Father.
In this house of the Father, each pharaoh thought of himself as a son and wished to leave his mark upon it.
Each added, superimposed, overdid, outdid, through a span of 20 centuries.
The result is this fabulous labyrinth of facades and passages, esplanades and corridors, perspectives and detours, to which only priests and pharaoh had access. One of you this evening were to voice the question that you are whispering in your hearts. Who art thou, Amun? The answer would seep from these walls, these lintels, these pedestals, these secret chambers, these piled ruins. For the answer is written everywhere in 1,000 different hieroglyphics.
Between the sanctuary and the river, I brought into being this edifice, a veritable temple with pylon guarded by colossi, peristyle courtyard, pillared hall and sanctuary.
A Nubian, reigning late in a crumbling dynasty, built this central pavilion, of which little now remains, but a specimen of the papyrus-capped gracious colonnade, and an alabaster block that served as an altar for the divine heart.
I claim the honor more than 3,000 years ago of having completed this second island you are about to pass. At its foot, I placed the stela telling of the victory of Kamoses over the Hyksos from the east. 2 of my images watch over the gate of the sanctuary. Only the southern statue has remained intact, but it is enough to keep alive the memory of my august reign. For 67 years, I wore the double crown of Upper and Lower Egypt.
I, a pharaoh of the later period, a king of the twilight, Ptolemy Euergetes II. I built this marvelous gate leading to the chambers of God. The panels are of genuine cedar of the Lebanon, lined with Asian copper. May they open to you this evening.
Some columns are open. That is to say, their capitals are open, while others are closed, like the flowers in the garden. A High-style chamber was built by Satan I between the second and third pylons, and he decorated a large part of the walls and columns with reliefs. The decoration was completed by Ramses II, who used not reliefs this time, but sun reliefs.
Now, God is resting. We must leave the sanctuary. The sun has vanished behind the Theban mountains. Ammon has vanished into the night with the sun, embarking once more upon that dark voyage that is the foretaste of death.
It has been said that Thebes was the first city, the city of cities. Homer named it the city of 100 gates. For 100 trumpets sounded its fame.
Listen to the sounds of Karnak. The silence was deceptive, since the city for 20 centuries has resounded so much to the sound of song and harp that it was almost alive with music. Naturally, there are the baser tasks of the city, the crowded farmyards, the laden trellises, the papyrus presses, and the nobler tasks, the working of gold and silver, the polishing of the columns, the fashioning of the sandstone blocks.
But above all, there is the fabulous machinery of the universe. For God is in charge and is responsible for the functioning of the world.
Upon the terraces, priests, astronomers observe the movement of the stars, are responsible for eclipses of the moon and the rising of the sun.
Other wise men, bending over their desks, keep the maps of the empire up to date, and the much more complicated maps of the kingdom of eternity. Watching over the furnaces, others supervised the mysterious metallurgical union of silver and gold into electrum, whose shining plaques would clothe the obelisks. Look now over the river to the west bank, where the sun sets every evening behind the Valley of the Kings.
It is the shore of the dead, the beginning of the beyond.
We are at the turning point of the 18th and 19th dynasties, more than 3,000 years ago. Before it, every Tutmosis and Amenophis. After it, every Seti and Ramesses. Now, we are at the moment of unbelievable sacrilege and revolution. Amenophis IV changes his name, his god, and his capital.
Above all glories, he set love supreme. And his beloved wife Nefertiti shared his dream of a new faith and a new city. The heretical pharaoh took the name of Akhenaton, devoting himself to his new worship, his poems, his prophecies, his new city of El Amarna.
And Karnak seemed to be relegated to the shadows. But the new religion lasted only as long as its inventor. The chisel, ruin, and fire all conspired to obliterate his image.
The new pharaoh was a child.
This child was to restore the ancient worship.
He rekindled 1,000 lamps at the abandoned temples of Karnak. He took the traditional name, and if his earthly life was short, since he died in his adolescence, his posthumous glory eclipses that of all the others, for his name is Tutankhamun.
His makeshift tomb was dug in the very floor of the Valley of the Kings. Over there.
It escaped the looters for 3,000 years. And in 1922, everything was there.
The sarcophagi, one inside the other. The statues, the jewels of gold, the sacred and profane furniture, the alabasters, the porcelains. Ammon takes a short holiday. On his barge of state, he sets forth for a honeymoon on the river.
He goes to Luxor, where he honeymoons each year with the goddess Ammon.
This is the beautiful festival of Obed. The joyous echoes still seem to come down to us from the depths of time.
Yet the twilight fell over the city of God, as it falls over all things.
The boots of the great conquerors rang on the paving stones of antiquity.
Assurbanipal the Assyrian reached the gates of Thebes and defied the ancient citadel. Alexander of Macedon wished to add the title of Pharaoh to his glories.
Caesar the Roman clutched all the Mediterranean in his eager hand and opened it only to give a last caress to conquered Egypt.
Like a tree that has grown too old, Ammon himself knew no return of spring.
But the line of Aton, born of the dream of a pharaoh who was a poet, was luckier than the patriarch of Karnak. It was the one mingled, as were the animals and men. He is a complex god, as powerful as the creation.
Ammon announced the salvation of man.
He also announced the salvation of the crocodile and the scarab, everything that moves, of the flowers of the earth. He deigned to assume the guise of a ram, a falcon, a goose, or a bull. He offered equality to all the companions of the universe.
And the language of hieroglyphics is like this overwhelming faith, which, thanks to the floods of the Nile, raised these pylons, these colonnades, these obelisks.
May these hieroglyphics come to life once more, to bid farewell to you, new pilgrims to our Egypt. Like a sudden flight of a myriad sacred birds, their spread wings sprinkling the droplets of the river, like a benediction.